Is now to be searching for us.
Yeah, that's what
Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
A word to our guests on board the train. We do strongly urge everyone to remain inside their car and resist the temptation to step out onto the end platforms for a better view. Please remain in your car. Of course, our reenactors today are firing only gunpowder blanks. But it's a fictional, but all too believable scenario we imagine today. In 1863, these infantrymen would have been firing very real 58 caliber lead slugs at each other. For those of you unfamiliar with firearms, let's just say that is a really big bullet. Those lead bullets were one of the largest killers in the war between the states. And they were always fired out of a rifled musket like these soldiers are firing now. Sometimes those bullets were used by the artillery, packed in sawdust inside oversized what amounted to tin coffee cans and fired at close range into infantry formations from cannons. That canister fire, canister shot, was another brutal killer in the war between the states. Those bullets made a small hole going in, but without being too graphic, let's just say they made a very large hole coming out. The extremely loud explosions that we're hearing are not, as you might imagine, artillery, but rather volley fire from foot soldiers, all firing their rifled muskets in unison on command.
Wow.
The civilians who have managed to get themselves trapped between the lines, that was a pattern that repeated itself over and over throughout the war.
Uh-oh.
As the gunpowder smoke from this skirmish thickens and swirls around the train, even on a bright sunny day, you can see
they're
how
retreating.
so often Civil War battles were fought half blind just because of the smoke. Especially at long range, when cannon fire came into play, it was often nearly impossible through the smoke to see what effect your fire was having on the enemy.
Wow.
In 1863, horsepower was largely just that, real horses. When the Confederates moved through Pennsylvania, they stole every horse they could find. And in those days, everyone knew how to ride. So it was a very easy bit of military supplies to carry off. You simply let it bear back onto the animal and let it carry itself away.
Get him, guys.
Battlefield tactics in 1863 were really not all that different than they still are in your 21st century. Frontal assaults were to be avoided possibly when fighting in close quarters, as here at Groff's Grove. That was not always possible. But if you could, the objective was to flank or get around the ends of the enemy line to attack them on the side or in the rear. In other words, in whichever direction they weren't pointing their weapons.
Whoa!
While your side is trying to outmaneuver theirs, they are trying to do the same thing to you, which explains why battles oftentimes have a swirling movement to them as fighting units keep maneuvering, positioning, repositioning themselves to make the most of terrain.